Hello, my name is Leslie COLLUM, and along with Amy Green, I am co-president of the League of Women Voters of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. The League is pleased to join Rutherford County Television in bringing you this County School Board Candidate Forum. We would like to thank Brian Robertson of the Rutherford County Office of Information Technology and Lee Harris of Rutherford County Television for making this broadcast possible. Although the League of Women Voters never endorses a particular candidate and strives to conduct forums in a nonpartisan manner, the League does feel that broadcasting a candidate forum is an excellent way to get information to a large number of voters. Laura Clark will be the moderator for this forum. Dr. Clark is an assistant professor of educational leadership at Middle Tennessee State University. Dr. Clark also works with the American Democracy Project at MTSU. County school board members represent specific zones in the county. A zone is comprised of several county commission districts. The zones are redrawn every 10 years based on census information, and voters should be notified of any changes that have been made to the zone. There are 4 county school board seats up for election this year. Only 2 of those zones have contested elections. We invited all the candidates running in the 2 contested zones to participate in this forum. We hope that seeing candidates answer questions about pertinent issues facing the county school board will be useful as you decide which candidate to support. Please make that decision known by voting on Election Day, August 2nd, or by participating in early voting from July 13th through July 28th. Thank you for joining us, and please remember, your vote counts.
Good evening. My name is Laura Clark, and I will serve as moderator for the forum this evening. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, with the assistance of the Rutherford County Office of Technology. It is my pleasure to welcome our audience to this evening's program. Tonight, we will hear remarks from the candidates for County School Board. Before introducing the candidates, I would like to outline the procedure for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make an opening statement. When all candidates have completed their opening statement, the first of several questions will be asked. The candidates have not been told what questions will be asked. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to answer each question. For the last question, candidates will be allowed 2 minutes to respond. They may add any closing comments at that time as well. In August, we will elect 4 county school board members. 2 of the 4 zones have contested races. The candidates at this forum tonight are each seeking election to one of these 2 seats. These positions are important to the citizens of Rutherford County, and we hope to hear them address the substantive issues facing all of us. I want to thank them for their gracious acceptance of our invitation to participate in this event tonight. And now I will introduce the candidates. Sitting to my far left and speaking first tonight is Mr. Grant Kelley. Mr. Kelley, you may begin your opening statement.
Thank you. My name is Grant Kelley, and I've been on the local school board for 2 terms. Prior to that, I was on the county commission for about 20 years, and so I have quite a bit of experience with dealing with all the school issues as well as county commission issues. I was born in Rutherford County and was raised and went to school in the Walt Hill community. I graduated from Walt Hill High School, was valedictorian, and also was president of the senior class. I'm married, been married to Diane Lowe, former Diane Lowe, for 40 years. We have 3 children, and they are all graduates of MTSU. 2 are teachers. My wife is a retired teacher. My son-in-law, one of my son-in-laws is a coach at MTSU. So we have a lot of education and educators in our family. I am running again, and this will be my last term, win or lose, because I feel like we need to maintain what we've started. We've had a number of schools that have come online since I was elected, and we have consistently scored in the top 3 or 4 systems in the state and tops in the southeast. So I feel like that my experience and my contacts is such that we can continue to strive to maintain what we've done and even do better. And we appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Also seeking to represent Zone 2 is Mr. Coy Young. Mr. Young, you may begin your opening statement.
Hello, I'm Coy Young. I would like to first thank the women voters for asking me here today. I am seeking election for Rutherford County School Board Zone 2. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a native of Rutherford County. I grew up in the Leanna, Walter Hill communities, attended Walter Hill School, graduated from Oakland High School in '83. After graduation, I married my wife, Jennifer Henry Young. For the past 21 years, we resided in Las Casas. We've raised 2 children, Jonathan, 21, and Sarah Beth, 17. Both attended Las Casas Elementary School. And then on to Oakland High School, where Sarah Beth is now a senior, and Jonathan is now at MTSU. My past work experience has been basically in the automotive business. For 25 years, I worked in automotive, worked my way up. Started there as a production worker, then a team leader, then went into materials, worked as inventory control, purchasing, and then a supervisor. And then at the end of my career, I was a plant superintendent. Working at Johnson Controls, we were, heavily involved with supplying Nissan seating with seats, and it was a just-in-time environment. You had to work through issues daily to try to make sure your customer was covered. The time we got a broadcast, the time we installed a seat at Nissan, we had 4 hours. And that could create a lot of controversies at times with shortage of parts and things like that. So I feel like my background has prepared me for a position like this. I've also started 2 businesses. I have Young Insurance and also Las Casas Feed Supply. And we would just like for you to consider us for this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. And now we'll turn to candidates seeking to represent Zone 3. And the first of these candidates is Ms. Helen Blankenship. Ms. Blankenship, you may begin your opening statement.
Hello, my name is Helen Blankenship, and I am a candidate for Zone 3 for school board. I have lived and raised in Halls Hill. I went to Kittrell Elementary School, Oakland High School, which I'm a graduate of, and I worked full-time on the family farm and went to school part-time at MTSU to get my bachelor's degree in agribusiness and agri-science. I got that done in 2001. In 2004, I got my master's degree in vocational technical education, which is, I also got my teaching endorsement so I can teach agriculture and U.S. and world history. I try to see what students are out there. I substitute teach, and I have been substitute teacher for the last 6 years in our county. I sub only anywhere from 160 to 170 2 to 5 days a year has been my average for the last 3 years. I still work part-time on our family farm. I have a small commercial flock of sheep, which I am active in my state sheep association. And I hope and thank the League of Women Voters for having us here.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. And next is Ms. Veronica Buchanan. Ms. Buchanan, you may make your opening statement.
Good evening. I am Veronica King-Buchanan, and I am asking for your support and vote in the Zone 3 school board race. First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and, for their commitment to this electoral process. I am running for school board for 2 reasons. 1, I love children. 2, I love my community. For over 15 years, I've owned and operated a child care center in our county, and the children have kept me motivated because the bright futures that I see in them. This just kept me so motivated. As a small business owner, I understand and I know how to manage resources. I understand how to maximize the efficiencies. I work with teachers, children, parents every day. All of this is real-world experience for me, and I feel that's very beneficial to our school board. we are very pleased to have such an amazing school system in our county. This is in large part to our outstanding teachers. I will listen to their concerns, make sure their resources are available to educate our children. I will listen to the parents, the students, the members of our community. I will also make good, sound decisions for our entire community. I am a lifelong resident of our county and a public servant. Currently, I serve on the Rutherford County Planning Commission, and I'm an active servant of my church also, and this has allowed me to serve many under-resourced children in our community. To summarize, children and community are why I'm running. I wholeheartedly believe that when our children succeed, our community succeeds. I look forward to the remainder of this forum to share my vision and how we can make our great school system even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. And now we move to the third candidate seeking to represent Zone 3, Mr. Tim Holden. Mr. Holden, you may begin your opening statement.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to also thank the League for hosting this forum. My name is Tim Holden. I live currently in the Zone 3 residence. My wife and I have lived there for 30 years. We've been married for 30 years. We have, my daughter went to Buchanan K through 8. We were very active in her school time there. We were PTO presidents for 4 years. We served as Booster Club presidents, and then when she went on to high school, we did the same. She graduated from Blackman High School. The reason I'm running for school board is I really believe that we have a wonderful school system here in Rutherford County. They've done a great job. However, there are some opportunities that we're missing. There are some opportunities that we could be providing in the area of career and technical education. The branding of career and technical education, we haven't done a very good job with. We need to rebrand that as an opportunity for young people to join the working ranks in our community and stay in our community. We have a great track system for four-year college and universities. They do a wonderful job. Again, I can't commend the teachers and staff and all of those in our school system. And by no means is it a critical point. I'm saying we just need to provide and build on the opportunities for young people. Because no matter whether it's me or Ms. Buchanan or any of the other folks up here, our job is to provide opportunities for these young people to be successful. I do have a small business of my own. I, too, make budgets, understand money, and have spent many years in industry in many positions of engineering, management, and manufacturing. So I'd like to ask for your support in the election for Zone 3. Again, my name is Tim Holden, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Now we will turn to the first question. And the first person to answer this question for question number 1 will be Mr. Young. So the question is, what do you feel is the main responsibility of a school board member, and what, in your experience and background, prepares you for this position?
For one, we need to be able to listen to what the issues are, understand what the issues are, and I think that's what's kind of prepared me is I feel like I'm a good listener. I try to be honest, I try to be fair, but before you can be an effective problem solver, you got to know what the problem is. And there's a lot of issues out there right now. Our nation's facing a lot of issues, and we're also seeing that in our school systems. Again, what Mr. Holden was talking about, we have a good school system, but it can be better, and I feel like I've had enough life experiences to show that I can do the job.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Blankenship, what do you feel is the main responsibility of a school board member, and what, in your experience and background, prepares you for this position?
I had to make a conscious decision to run for school board. One of the things, many things I did was notice that teachers were not having a voice. I understand what that voice is because I'm in that classroom. I may be subbing, but I do a long-term subs. I I may bounce around a day or two, but most of the time I'm there 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks at a time. I know what happens in the classroom. I listen to teachers. They talk to me. I know what's going on, and I know how they feel. That's what the biggest thing, that they need to know that there's a voice. And your constituents need to know that they can stop at any time if they have a problem. You're there to listen. And your phone is always open. And that's the biggest thing I've had is everybody thinks I am a very good listener.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Ms. Buchanan, what do you feel is the main responsibility of a school board member, and what in your experience and background prepares you for this position?
I believe we're going to, the job scope talks about how we work closely with our director of schools, work on the programs for the education departments. We also prepare budgets and keep the public informed. And in my business, I do all the above. As I forestated in my opening statement, I work with budgets. I work with parents. I work with teachers, so I understand what they need, and that's basically what I do 24/7.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Mr. Holden, what do you feel is the main responsibility of a school board member, and what, in your experience and background, prepares you for this position?
I feel a school board member, the school board actually has one employee, and that is the superintendent. That is their job, to hire and maintain a superintendent with a vision that carries out with what they believe and what they believe to be the vision. It is a school board member's job to help develop plans and programs. I think see more of a big picture item, provide infrastructure so teachers can do their job, so we can develop new programs, new plans, and implement those. As far as qualifications, I believe my wife and I, and me particularly too, well, both of us, have seen the parent side of issues that you deal with at PTO levels, that you deal with at fundraising levels, and all those that go with it. I've also a member of the Career and Technical Committee currently at the school board, and have served on the policy committee at the school board. So that is a small snapshot of what goes on there also. I think, once again, it's our job to provide the vision, the big picture, the infrastructure, and the plans in order for a school system to be successful.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. And so our next question, and Ms. Blankenship, you will be the first one to answer this one. Thank you, panel, for reminding me. Mr. Kelly, I'd like to hear your response to this question, and I'll repeat it for you. The first question: what do you feel is the main responsibility of a school board member, and what, in your experience and background, prepares you for this position?
Well, the main goal and responsibilities are to hire. In some cases, obviously, if it's a vacancy, hire the superintendent, and to also make him accountable to you, to us as board members, and then making sure that the policies that are in place are carried out and in a manner that is acceptable to not only the county commission, but the public in general. If you don't have support from the public and the county commission, you're in trouble financially and otherwise. So my experience, 8 years being on the school board, has shown that I'm able to do that. I also was instrumental in getting our present superintendent to consider running for superintendent, and will be appointed. And so I'm proud of that fact that we have a new one that would step right in there and do the job.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Now we will move to question 2. And Ms. Blankenship, you'll be the first one to answer this one. Question 2. What do you feel is the #1 issue facing Rutherford County schools in the next 5 years, and how would you address that issue?
First, there's funding, and how are the schools going to be funded? We know we get most of our money from our county Commission, which gets it from the state, and we have federal funds that come in to support that. But we also have to figure out other ways of getting grants for our schools, so that way our schools will have additional information, new technologies, because technology is changing tremendously every day. The other thing is I see is happening is rezoning. We have a new school coming on board this next school year, and rezoning is going to be a very big issue for our schools and for the people that live in those communities. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Now we'll move to Ms. Buchanan. And for the second question, what do you feel is the #1 issue facing Rutherford County schools in the next 5 years? And how would you address that issue?
Staff development, I feel is going to be a huge tackle, simply because we got the new Common Core coming in, and we have got to make sure that we've got good professional learning communities in place for the teachers to grasp this new Common Core and just build their morale, keep them elevated highly so that they can really do their job successfully. And also budgeting. Budgeting is going to be a big, big problem, even coming up with the new Stewart's Creek project. So we're into our reserves, and it's a problem. So, yeah, that's going to be a huge, huge issue.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Mr. Holden, the question is, what do you feel is the #1 issue facing Rutherford County schools in the next 5 years, and how would you address that issue?
Well, I think we've got probably a few #1s actually, but of course funding is always an issue. I read an article that Ms. Nolan was speaking about the reserves. That's always a big issue. New math and science initiatives have been put on the board and on the schools to fund those will always be an initiative. But I think we have some opportunities for increasing funding by partnering with local industry in some areas. Again, we've got large companies here. You take your Nissans, your Bridgestones, and some of those folks. I think we need to be a liaison or work with those folks and see if they can help in the technology area, and that we're training students that will actually help them.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Kelly, the question is, what do you feel is the #1 issue facing Rutherford County schools in the next 5 years? And how would you address that issue?
Well, I think the biggest problem is some of the state and federal mandates that are coming across, and they're unfunded mandates. So obviously dealing with that, we obviously have to work with our elected officials in the legislative, both in the local and state and federal, but just to kind of explain to them that sometimes their ideas are not doable. And so I think that's the biggest problem. Of course, we have a good economy now, and we have a diversity of industry, and we obviously work with them, and we will continue to do so, and to help finance these needed projects and mandates.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Young, the question is, what do you feel is the #1 issue facing Rutherford County schools in the next 5 years? And how would you address that issue?
Of course, growth, it brings on all kind of problems and issues, and funding is going to be a #1 issue. There's no way to get around that. And we got to figure out how to come up with the funds and try to keep it taxpayer friendly. What the answer is to that, I really don't know at this time. There's a lot of things we can do to try to help improve cost. Also, I think, our kids being evaluated, our teachers being evaluated on test scores, gap closures, those kind of things are going to be big coming up, and we got to figure out what to close those gaps. And I think the evaluation system is going to help, but we got to communicate it so that everybody understands what the expectations are.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Now for the third question. And Ms. Buchanan, we will begin with you. The question is, what opportunities are there or should there be in the school system to promote healthy lifestyles for our children?
The state offers a lot of workshops that geared toward the TennCare children and families. I just really think we should bridge over and gather some of that particular information to share with our school systems to implement the safe and healthy lifestyles and living for them also. So I think it's very important because, again, the obesity rate in the school systems is with young adults, let's put it that way, is very over the top. So I think if we could just kind of bridge and reach out to other venues to get some input on that and get our dietitians and things of those sort involved, I think we can really implement some great things in our school system.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Mr. Holden, what opportunities are there or should there be in the school system to promote healthy lifestyles for our children?
I think there's a great opportunity with the young people to educate them on a healthy lifestyle, but I think we also have to look a little bit deeper because of school being only sort of their life. We need to educate their parents as well. I think we need to have opportunities for PTOs to become involved, to involve the parents, and also develop a program that would include, like I said, an extended family or the immediate extended family, because, as you know, you only have a child for so long every day, and that much of his time is outside of that. So I think that would be a way that could be approached.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Kelley, what opportunities are there or should there be in the school system to support healthy lifestyles for our children?
We have nutritionists that are on staff, not just cafeteria workers anymore, and they are trained to not only take care of the cafeteria food, but to instill in the students lifestyles and food choices that will help them for a lifetime. It also involves some exercise programs, but this is something that has to be carried to the parents, and they have to really be involved with it. A lot of the parents are working, many hours, and they don't have the supervision that they maybe need to for this, but we want to educate them and make sure that there's someone that's with the children that shows them how to maintain that healthy lifestyle in order to nutritionally and healthy growth to go further.
Thank you, Mr. Kelley. And Mr. Young, what opportunities are there or should there be in our school system to promote healthy lifestyles for our children?
Stated many times already here, we do have to offer our children activities and let them engage in other things besides books. I mean, books are great, and we want them to learn, but at the same time, they've got to have some activities outside the classroom to keep themselves in physical shape. And we need people that can train them on how to, like I said, how to eat, the proper way for nutrition and physical exercise, and we just need to make sure that's available to our students.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Blankenship, what opportunities are there or should there be in the school system to promote healthy lifestyles for our children?
Career technical education already has that installed in our school system. Starting off with middle school, they have teen living, which all middle school students take when they get to middle school. And when they get to high school, they can take the family consumer science education. I think that's right. I forgot the whole name for it, but they can take those classes. And also in agriculture, they have those classes too, because we have to teach and we always promote healthy living, healthy eating, healthy anything. Because as I tell my students, if I'm going to raise it on the farm, if I'm not eating it, you shouldn't be eating it. And the one thing I tell the students is, I practice what I preach. If I'm going to tell you I'm doing it, it means I'm doing it over and over again. So I know we already have the programs installed in our school systems. So we just have to improve, maybe re-educate some of the ones that are already out there. But they're already there, installed.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. And now we'll go to question number 4. And we'll begin, Mr. Holden, with you. And the question is, if parental involvement is one of the main indicators of student success, how do you think schools can get parents more involved with their child's education?
Well, again, I think it's got to be a process. I think we have to educate the parents on the success of the involvement as well. I think that it's well proven that children with parents involved in school do a much better job. From my experience with the Parent Teachers Organization, we did things to try to get parents just involved in the school, and then hopefully that will get them involved in the child's education. I think there should be some incentives to attend parent-teacher conferences. I don't know what that is, but I know that is very important, parent-teachers conferences, so you can see what your child is doing. So again, I totally agree with your question, the parent-teacher involvement, but it is a very difficult process to implement, I think. But I think there are some ways to help.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Kelly. If parental involvement is one of the main indicators of student success, how do you think schools can get parents more involved with their child's education?
Certainly the meetings with them should be on a one-on-one basis, because many times you're talking in generalities and people are thinking that, well, that's somebody else but not me. So that you actually need to have some way to evaluate them with their conferences, and we have headed that way, but we're going a little slower than I'd like to see. So I think we have more of those, and explain to them the long-term consequences of them not being involved in the children's welfare. And I think it's just a matter of intensifying what we already have in place.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Young, if parental involvement is one of the main indicators of student success, how do you think schools can get parents more involved with their child's education?
I think we have to continue having activities at schools that brings the parents out. I know at Last Casas we have a fall festival out there. It's a good way to raise money for the school, and it gets the parents involved, and it's some fun time that they have one-on-one with the kids, and get to meet the teachers. Parents have got to have a good relationship with the teachers, and vice versa. And it's not easy. Everybody works. Most households have 2 incomes coming in, and it's not easy for the parents to get off in time to actually get to the school in time to meet with the teacher. But we need to see what we can do to set aside some time for that to happen. We need to have at least one meeting a year where the parents do come in and talk to the teacher and get involved more.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Blankenship, if parental involvement is one of the main indicators of student success, how do you think schools can get parents more involved with their child's education?
A lot of the school organizations have what I call extended organizations outside of it. They have a club that's part of their classroom curriculum. A lot of times that's where parents can come in and they can see their kids doing extra activities which are fun, and that gets them involved. And because most of the time kids cannot be involved in those activities unless they're passing classes, and that makes it where people see that this child is having a wonderful time with this organization. we like this, we want our child, and we want our child to be with them. We like the people. It makes more of a community-type feeling. Some parents just need the little nudge just to say, hey, come show up. Sometimes they don't get that invitation, and they don't feel like they get that invitation.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Ms. Buchanan, if parental involvement is one of the main indicators of student success, how do you think schools can get parents more involved with their child's education?
Speaking from experience, I think if you start young, like in my child care center, we have a PAC committee. You start young and get these parents involved when they're at a young age, then it'll just develop into them. But there's incentives that will help them. A lot of parents are very busy with the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and if you offer different types of incentives to come in, and especially if it's something exciting that the children are doing, and the child goes home and just really gets the parent riled up that they really want them to come, I think that the big incentive there is to come and see their child shine. So I really think if we start young, I think we can build it into them.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Now we'll move to question number 5, and Mr. Kelly, we'll begin with you. How do you plan to determine priorities, particularly when you're trying to balance the expectations of constituents with budget constraints?
That's a very difficult question. Obviously, I think that would be something that's been ongoing for a number of years. You have to look at the bigger picture, and you have to involve the people that you're talking with and let them know that there are rules and regulations and guidelines that cannot be crossed. And so you actually have to go on a one-on-one basis, and many times to get their confidence that you're trying to not just talk down at them, but to talk to them and with them. And I think that's the key on anything is communication and show empathy and sympathy in some cases for the situations.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Young, how do you plan to determine priorities, particularly when you are trying to balance the expectations of constituents with budget constraints?
And it's just like Mr. Kelly just said here, it's all about communication. You got to understand, what's going on and what the priorities are, or what the issues are first, and then you start working with your constituents on working on what's most important to them, and then look at the budget and see if the budget's going to allow you to do what needs to be done. But it's all about communicating where the monies are, what we need to do to fix the problems.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Blankenship, how do you plan to determine priorities, particularly when you're trying to balance expectations of constituents with budget constraints?
Talking to them. I've always had to be able to explain my field of agriculture to people who haven't got a clue. And that has been my biggest strength, is I can explain things no matter how difficult it gets or how difficult it is for them to understand. I can explain it to them. And that's been my biggest asset of my entire life. And that's what people want. They want to be able to understand. Over the years, I found out that's all they need. Is as long as they understand what's going on and they know they feel you're working on the problem, that's all that matters.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Ms. Buchanan, how do you plan to determine priorities, particularly when you are trying to balance the expectations of constituents with budget constraints?
Discernment. Number one, you must learn how to discern and prioritize. Communicate is key, because if you've got people wanting and needing something, you've got to go talk with them and let them know that this is, we're not going to do this, but on the other hand, we got to do what's best for the county. It's nothing against anybody. We're just trying to build an awesome county. And with that, I feel that once we sit down and prioritize the budget and see what's best and what we need to stick to, I think we can get it taken care of.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Mr. Holden, how do you plan to determine priorities, particularly when you are trying to balance the expectations of constituents with budget constraints?
Well, I think there's a tremendous number of priorities already lined out in federal and state mandates that have to be met. So I think your list will get fairly short as far as your priorities after that. I think we must develop a plan, present the information to those constituents, and also show the pros and cons of that plan, develop a schedule and an implementation plan, and actually communicate it to them so they will understand exactly why it is our priority, as well as what we feel that priority will bring to the table as far as the entire school system goes.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Now we'll move to question 6. Mr. Young, you will be the first one for this question. Mr. Young, what role should the media play in informing citizens of issues related to schools and teachers and children?
One, their role needs to be that they're reporting their accurate information and make sure that they're putting it out there where it can be seen by the public. Sometimes the media can be unfair on some things that happens in our schools, and they just need to be sensitive to some of the issues that are happening in our schools, and sure that we're working together and trying to build our schools up and not tear them down.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Blankenship, what role should the media play in informing citizens of issues related to schools, teachers, and children?
Media should be always available to report really good things, because there's always something good happening at every school. I showed you I've been around so long. I remember that you could turn in the paper and there would always be something excellent about whatever school it was, whether it was Murfreesboro, Smyrna, or Laverne. They always reported good information. I understand we have other things that are happening in our school system, but schools need to know, and teachers with the parents, they need to see that schools are a happening place. This is their communities. We no longer have our little community schools. We have these huge high schools. We have the comprehensive high schools, comprehensive middle schools. They need to know what's happening. And media is sometimes the only way we get out there. I read the WGNS website every day, the Daily News Journal, the Murfreesboro Post. I'm always reading them every day. They just need to be able to post and tell more positive things, I think, would be really good for our school system.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Ms. Buchanan, what role should the media play in informing citizens of issues related to schools, teachers, and children?
For the good issues, I think they need to be just out there reporting all the good issues. For the bad issues, I think they need to allow us to take care of the issues, address whatever we need to address with it, and then present the facts. Because sometimes I just feel like it's being blown out of proportion. But overall, I think that the media should always report great things that's happening with our great school system.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Mr. Holden, what role should the media play in informing citizens of issues related to schools, teachers, and children?
I feel like the media plays an extremely important role in communicating the successes of our young people. They do a pretty good job of reporting other issues, whether factual or not. I mean, I'm just saying they have that role too. But I think we can also look at media from a different direction as well. We have the Rutherford County Public TV TV channel that Rutherford County School System could run some commercials on there for Students of the Month. Run commercials on there for students that achieve great things. Be positive, be open, be excited about the Rutherford County School System. Give us some good press. That's just like how many people in this room probably know there's a 98% graduation rate of career and technical students. I know because I was on the committee, but that would be a great thing to communicate to the general public and be able to have another view of our school system.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Kelly, what role should the media play in informing citizens of issues related to schools, teachers, and children?
They play a great role. Matter of fact, many times people, their only source of information is what they read in newspapers. So they have to be very careful what they print. Now, there's a lot of sensationalism because sometimes bad news travels quicker and it sells more papers. And so that we need to have a balance there. Certainly we don't want to hide anything that's bad and wrong. It needs to be told, but not as a sensationalism type of mode. Mainly is to emphasize all areas, but particularly the good things. And I think if we put the emphasis there, these others will fall into place on their own.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. And now we come to the last question. And for this question, you will have 2 minutes to answer because I'd like for you to both answer the question and include any closing remarks you would like to make. So, Ms. Blankenship, we will begin with you on this question. Ms. Blankenship, what would you say to your constituents to encourage them to get out and vote, and why should they vote for you?
As an American citizen, that's the only right we have is to vote. No one tells you who to vote for. The only thing they can do is ask you to vote. I've been doing a lot of that. And I have to say my family's been doing a lot of that. That's the one thing that we are, and the one privilege we are given. And that's the one thing I try to instill in the students is when you turn 18, please sign up to go vote. I have lots of friends and neighbors who do not vote. I try to encourage them to vote. They all know that if you're going to complain to me about something, if you're not voting, don't complain to me. Because I'll tell you, you're not voting. I don't want to hear the complaint.
Thank you, Ms. Blankenship. Ms. Buchanan, what would you say to your constituents to encourage them to get out to vote, and why should they vote for you?
Voting is a God-given right, and I just hate to see people lay down on that right because they're very argumentative about things that's going on in our society. But until you go out and press that button and try to make a difference, then, you know, why say anything? On the other hand, I am a good listener. I'm a good discerner. I'm an achiever. I'm a motivator, and I'm a team player. And I feel like my business experience and my life accomplishments makes me the candidate for them to go out and vote for. And I want to continue to try to make our county the best possible. I want to get in there and work with the teachers and give them all that they need to educate our children. And I want to maximize this budget. And lastly, I want to get this parent involvement rolling. We need that to get it's the key to successful children, so we need that. I'm a mother, and my children were educated through this great system, and I feel that that's what it's going to take for everybody, and it takes a village to raise all these children. So get out and vote. Do the American dream. Vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Mr. Holden, What would you say to your constituents to encourage them to get out and vote? And why should they vote for you?
I feel like voting is an American responsibility. It is our responsibility to hear the voices heard. If you're getting 20, 30% turnout in an election, you're not hearing from the people. So I encourage everybody watching this, get out and vote. I would prefer you vote for me because, again, I feel like that my business experience, I can do a good job with the school board. I've been on the parent side with the involvement with my daughter as she was going to school. I think that, and again, my focus is helping implement opportunities for young people. Whatever it is, we need to look at all opportunities out there for young people. I think our career and technical education can be improved. They do a great job now. As I said before, Miss Nixon and those folks over there do a wonderful job. They've got a 98% graduation rate of career and technical students. Read an article the other day, Memphis, Tennessee. Vocational technical education is up 300% in Memphis with a placement rate of 92 to 100%. We've got 600,000 jobs open in America right now of a technical nature that we cannot fill. So I think we've got to focus on that void that's been created in a generation or so. And we've got to react quickly because there are other states doing a better job than us. Michigan is doing a great job. A lot of other states are doing a great job. I feel like it can bring my views to the school board or my dreams or my views or my passion, and we can help there, but we got to maintain the other system as well. We got to maintain the other direction as well. I want to thank you again for having it. Congratulations to all the teachers. They do a great job in our school system, and the Board of Education now, I'd like to thank them for the way that they have helped maintain this wonderful system that we've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Kelly, what would you say to your constituents to encourage them to get out and vote? And why should they vote for you?
First of all, it's a privilege to be able to vote. Probably 80% of the world citizens don't have that privilege. And they're fighting to, and it's just not coming about. So many times if you have privileges that you don't use, you lose. And sometimes what happens is the minority is running, the ones that are voting are running the majority. So you have to keep things on track, and you need to make sure that you're part of that, and you have the ideas that will keep things on track. It will help. As far as as far as why they should vote for me, I've been in office for a number of years, and we've put some programs in place that I've had some implementation directly, and that I feel like that we're on track in a lot of areas, and look at our records and just kind of keep on doing what we're doing, and not that any other candidate might have a problem with that. But I think we focused on that, and I think my leadership over the years has helped. I also want to thank the League for allowing us to have this forum and to give our opportunities to have a citizens' input. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. And Mr. Young, what would you say to your constituents to encourage them to get out and vote? And why should they vote for you?
Well, as residents and citizens of Rutherford County and being taxpayers, we need to get involved. We need to get involved in every asset and everything that's going on in this county, and this is just another way to get involved if we want to try to improve things. Myself, as a resident and native of Rutherford County, I'll commit to listen to all the concerns and follow up with questions. I won't just occupy a seat. I'll be honest and fair in my decision making. Will we always agree? No. But I'll work hard to represent the people of our zone, Zone 2. My nature is conservative. I believe in better. I believe in paying as we go. Our public officials owe it to the taxpayers to be good stewards of their hard-earned money. If I'm elected, I will commit to do the best job I can for our students, teachers, parents, and Rutherford County. And I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Well, we've reached the end of our questions, and thank you for your substantive responses tonight and your participation in this. Once again, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, Rutherford County Office of Technology, I want to thank all of you for your participation tonight. I also want to recognize the Rutherford County TV staff for their cooperation in presenting this program on Governmental Channel 19. I also want to remind all citizens to go to the polls on August 2nd to exercise this important right to determine who represents them on the school board, as well as the other important positions on which we will vote. By the way, early voting is July 13th through July 28th. May we close with a round of applause for the candidates.